Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Walesa and I'm the owner and creator of Alive Refurbished. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I gave this mid-century modern dresser an industrial twist. I'm also going to show you a painting technique using glaze and paint to give your piece a Pottery Barn feel. So stick around if you want to learn more about that. I have a confession to make. When I first saw this dresser, I wasn't excited at all about it. And I was kind of surprised that my husband wanted to buy it. So he talked me into it and we bought it. You can tell that there's some damage. The finish is a little bit crusty. So I started giving everything a good wash with some soapy water. Normally this is not the stage where I give my pieces a thorough cleaning, but this was so dusty in and out that I just decided to give everything a good wipe. Remove all the hardware, and one of the things that I like to do is I like to number my drawers using some tape. Sometimes the drawer won't slide smoothly unless you put it in the right spot, so with these labels I make sure that I'm putting it in the place where it actually belongs. I'm gonna be adding some wood to this drawer to give him an industrial vibe, so I am measuring the drawers to see how much wood I'll need. Time to give everything a good sand using 120 grit. With the finish that I'm doing on the upper part of the dresser, I'm gonna be highlighting the wood grain, and for that I need this wood to be bare. Since there is some damage to the wood veneer on the top, I won't be able to stain it, but I am going to attempt to make it look like it's stained. So while the upper part of this dresser is getting a paint and glaze treatment, the bottom of it is gonna be painted in one single color. Now it's time to give everything a thorough cleaning. For this, I'm gonna be using a TSP substitute that is more green friendly. It comes in a powder form and you dilute it with water. As I started wiping my dresser, I realized that there was some of the old finish left. So I started sanding all those areas again with 120 grit. The same thing happened with the top. You're gonna see that it looks patchy. All those lighter areas are part of the old finish. So I just grabbed an 120 grit and started sanding everything again, re-wiping to make sure that I had all of the old finish off. I kept washing the rest of my piece. I'm going to start with my first repair using this edge band that's pre-glued, preheated iron, and aluminum foil. I'm positioning my edge in here to make sure that it aligns. And once it's set in the right spot, I'm gonna grab my aluminum foil, use my iron. The heat will activate the glue on your edging, making it super sticky. You can use a roller to make sure that there are no air bubbles. I feel like this was such a small area and everything went so smoothly that I didn't grab my roller. Using a razor, just cut all the edges. I took a little bit of time with this because I didn't want to cut through the other veneer. Oh, I just wanted to get that edge so smooth. Once you're done making your cuts, just make everything smooth by sanding it with a 220 grit. It's looking so good. I'm so proud of myself because I did this with absolutely no help. It's good to celebrate our small victories, guys. For the next repairs, you're gonna need some wood glue, some Pro Bond wood filler or any wood filler, a clamp, a steering stick, a wet paper towel, and also if you have a needle to inject glue, this is a good repair to use it for. It really gets the wood glue deep in. I'm gonna be securing this repair by using a steering stick and my clamp. Keep in mind that as you see me making these repairs, I am waiting 24 hours for everything to dry. While all of my repairs dry, I'm running to the hardware store and buying some wood. We created a sample piece to make all of our cuts. We just kept putting it over the next piece that we needed to cut to base our cutting off of that measurement. And here are our 28 pieces. Now that all the wood has been cut to the right size, I can start lining it up. I found out that these steering sticks work perfectly as spacers. I will be adding handles and car frame holders to each one of these pieces of wood to make this dresser look more industrial. And for your knees' well-being, may I recommend that if you have some knee pads laying around, use them. Now that everything has been nailed in, I can fill any holes with this wood filler, and I'm also gonna be filling those repairs that I glued yesterday. After a couple of hours, everything has dried and is ready for a good sand. While I'm sanding, I keep touching the areas that I'm sanding to make sure that they're feeling nice and smooth. Since the wood was kind of rough around the edges and it was not perfectly flush with our drawer, I spent a little bit of time sanding them, making sure they were flush and smooth. Sanding creates dust, so I use my vacuum just to suck in any particles that might have gone between the gaps that are in my wooden pieces. While my repairs are drying, I'm drying this line to serve me as a guide to apply my paint and glaze technique. For this technique, I'm gonna be using the color Endless Shore from Dixie Belle and their mineral paint line. Also Van Dyke brown glaze from General Finishes, a little bit of water, a steering stick, and lots of wet rags. We're mixing 20% paint to 80% water ratio. Once we create this watery mix, we're gonna be applying it on the upper part of our dresser. This technique is known as a white color wash and is gonna brighten our wood, which is exactly what we need. For this project, as soon as I'm done applying my white wash to the top, I'm wiping it off with my wet rag. Since part of your rag is gonna get saturated with paint, just keep folding it and keep using the parts that don't have much paint. This wash will be drying an hour and then we can proceed to do the next step. For this step, I'm using a brown dyke glaze from General Finishes. I'm applying it with one of those super cheap 99-cent brushes that really help me get the glaze into the wood grain. And then as soon as I'm done applying it, I'm wiping it off with my wet rag. The reason why we apply the brown glaze over the white wash is because it really highlights and darkens that wood grain. After you apply your glaze, the piece might look a little patchy, but don't worry, this is only our base and we are going to be working our way through this finish, one layer at a time. I do recommend waiting 2 hours for this glaze to dry before you start the next step. After our first coat of glaze has dried, we start overlapping another coat of glaze with my color wash. Once again, using a wet rag, you're gonna be mixing those colors together and just wiping back and forth. Try to wipe in a straight line and make sure that you go from one end of the piece to the other. In this second coat, you're gonna see how the brown from that first coat of the brown glaze stands out against these other, what it looks to be two other tones. You are actually going to repeat this step 2 more times, waiting 1 hour between one layer of color. This finish is just so fun. It adds dimension to your piece, some color variations, and I just find it very satisfying. Now that my glaze and paint treatment is dried, I am protecting my edge with this tape, and I'm covering the rest of it with some painter's plastic. The last thing I want is to ruin this finish that I spent so much time achieving by splashing it with some paint that I'm gonna be spraying or primer. I'm gonna be spraying this Bean shellac based white primer with my Home Bright sprayer. I always filter all of my primers and paints to make sure that I get rid of any clumps or dirt. Since the wood that I attached to the front of the drawers is made of pine, and pine is known as a wood that bleeds, meaning the oils from the wood come through your new finish in brown or pinkish spots, basically ruining your finish and ruining your day, I decided to prevent those from coming through by applying a couple of coats of my primer. As always, follow the instructions given by each product that you use. I am using a respirator to avoid inhaling any chemicals. Once your primer is dry, which is about 45 minutes, you can give it a scuff sanding using a 220 grit. This will knock down any texture or perhaps a little dust landed on your primer, and now it doesn't feel as smooth, so the 220 sanding will take care of that. And of course, as you know, you create dust, so you have to wipe and vacuum whatever dust you created. Now your piece is all ready for paint. I'm gonna be using the same color from Dixie Belle that I used to do my glaze and paint finish on the top. For a full coverage paint job, I'm applying 2 coats. I like to let my paint sit for 1 day before applying a top coat. The next day, we cut some wood and glued it to the bottom of our vase so that we could attach some cool industrial looking legs. And now that my piece has some cool legs, I'm gonna apply my top coat. I'm using 0.5% of this high performance flat with the semi-gloss for the other 50%. These are both General Finishes products. I will be applying a total of 3 coats to make sure that this piece is fully protected. Since we were going to drill 170 holes, yes, you heard correctly, to place our hardware, we actually cut a piece of wood as a sample and pre-drilled the holes on it, and then just kept laying it on top of each piece, and that served us as a template to drill all the holes. It made the process way quicker. But if you ask me, the hardware is so worth it. It just takes the piece to another level. And here it is. Check out that finish with the color variation. You can see the wood grain, the wheels, the hardware. It definitely has more of an industrial vibe to it. I honestly think that this style dresser could go in any style home. Modern farmhouse, industrial decor, mid-century modern. It just has an eclectic look to it, and I absolutely love it. And I hope that you guys do too. Thank you for being here. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to continue to see furniture that's restyle, repurpose, refinish, don't forget to subscribe. Just a quick reminder to turn on your notifications if you want to find out next time I post a video. Again, thank you for watching. Until next time.